Hi guys, this is Aashir. I am an indie game developer and this is the devlog of my new game called Uploaded. It has been a lot of time since I started making this game. It was inspired from the Doodle Jump game. I started a Unity engine and made a new 2D game project. I created two box sprites, one for the player and the other for platform. Then I started to implement some basic stuff like jumping and score increment when the player jumps above the platform. I then used the Cinemachine to make a virtual camera that follows the player when it jumps and moves upward. I learned about it from a tutorial on Brakeys YouTube channel. After tweaking the Cinemachine a bit, it was working fine and was following the player. Although it was hard to understand the different offset points and the safe zone for the Cinemachine, but still I managed to do it. Then I made a yellow platform underneath the actual platform that comes above with the passing time. It can kill the player when the player is not jumping off the platform for too long or it is stationary at a place. It makes the player of the game to constantly move the player upward, otherwise it would be dead. I then started to work on the level parts. I wanted to keep the game procedurally generated so the game feels more interesting to play and has some variation in it. I made some basic level parts for testing and started to play around with them. I used the same level generator I used in my previous game called Barren Forests. In that game, the level generator was generating the level parts in a horizontal position. In this game, I tweaked it a little bit to spawn the level parts randomly in the vertical direction. After some efforts, it was okay and was working fine. I then made some more level parts and started to test them. I then made a pause button in the game. I also made a pause button that enables when the player clicks on the pause button and pauses the game, and also a resume button to resume the game when it's in paused state. I also made a game over screen that is enabled when the player collides with the yellow platform. I gave it a restart button that restarts the game when it is clicked. I then started to make the main menu screen. I made a basic main menu with the name of the game and a tap to play text. I also changed the fonts of the score and the pause button. I gave an animation to the tap to play text so it looks nice and clean. I then made a mechanic to start the game when the player clicks once with the mouse on the main screen. I then gave the same animation with a little slow speed to the uploaded text. I also used some panels on the main menu, pause menu and the game over screen to give it a little focus effect. I then made a trail renderer for the player that leaves a trail behind the player. It gives a very nice movement effect to the player. I then started making some particle effects for the platforms when the player bounces off them. I also gave sound effects to the player when he jumps off the platforms. I then placed a music file that I downloaded from the YouTube's audio library inside the editor for the background music of the game. I also gave it a script so that it keeps on looping even if the game is restarted. I then made a new jump mechanic for the player. I changed the jumping of the player as previously it was a little buggy and player would jump from the platform even if it touched from the bottom a little bit. Previously, I was using the box collider for collision detection. I updated it by using the edge collider that detects only the collisions from top and ignores the collision from the bottom. Now it was looking more better. I also gave a jump animation to the player when he jumps from the platform. It makes the player feel a little bit alive. I then started to work on some more jumping things. I made this grey leg spring that makes the player to jump higher when he jumps on it from the above. I then made the score and the high score fields in the game over screen. I implemented it, but it wasn't working fine. It was also being resumed when the player again clicked with the mouse. So I spent some time to fix the high score and not to resume the game when the player clicks somewhere else on the game over screen. After some time, the high score was working fine and I also fixed the issue with the game resumed when the player clicks somewhere else. I then made a bullet for the player that shoots when the player clicks. I then made some particle effects for the platforms to give them a little bit of good look. I then made an enemy in the game that can be killed when the player shoots bullets at it. It can kill the player when the player collides with it. I gave a slight bouncy animation to all of the different platforms. I then created several more level parts. I then created some particle effects and sound effects for the new platforms I created. I also gave a particle effects and sound effect to the bullet. I have uploaded the game to itch.io where you can play it for free in your browsers or download and play it on your PC. Okay guys, now that marks the end of this video. It was a lot of fun creating this game. It took me a lot of time to make, but I am happy with the experience I got from making this game. In the next week, I will start working on my new game project, which I am planning at current moment, but will start working on it. Also guys, be sure to check out my other games on itch.io. I am sure you are gonna love them. Also guys, you can support me via Patreon, which will help me in making these games and videos regularly. You can also check out my website called holomorphic.com, where I post related to gaming stuff. Okay guys, now that's it. I will be back with some new content soon, so stay tuned. Bye.